Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Micah Let's Play, and guess who I am? I'm Micah, because who else would I be? Okay guys, today we're going to be doing part 2 of the combat of the Hogwarts Legacy Showcase. Well, this is part 2, which is the combat section of the Hogwarts Legacy Showcase. Part 1 is up on my channel right now, and it's all about broom flight and flying on mounts and all the things I noticed on the map. And this is going to be mainly, I'm going to be talking about, before we go into the combat, the things I noticed outside of it, and then the things I noticed internally with the actual spells we were using, how things were working, and also addressing some of the concerns I had with the combat system. So, with all that said, let's get started. So, as you can see, we are outside in the Forbidden Forest. For one, I love the detail in this. I love the dark outfit. Dark Legacy outfit, that's what they called it. That's if you pre-order the game, you can get this, and if you don't, you just buy standard, you can just buy it separately later. We're going to point out a few things I'm noticing on top of him running. If you notice right here on the screen, you see these leaping toadstools, but because we're running and we're too close to them, you'll notice that they shrink back into the ground. So right there, you see how they hop into the ground? So the leaping toadstool caps, so you can collect these by pressing square. So I was like, okay, I see where this is going. So you can't run up on them because that scares them. So if you walk up on them and then you can just collect them, or maybe you can't collect them. Maybe you can because it shows the icon. So why not? That's me being kind of silly. Okay, and if you notice here on the mini map, you notice that the main objective cursor or icon is on there. So the yellow Hogwarts sigil with the point thing in it, or as I like to say, icon, like quest icon, is there. So you see that. You see an icon here, which is where we're headed, which is to the Dark Arena. This little purple thing is us, and you notice this looks like a spider's nest. And you see little icons here, which are like enemies. So I'm assuming, because we're in the dark forest, you see a spider's web, I'm assuming those are giant spiders, and I'm so glad that we did not run across them in this, because I am not looking forward to fighting spiders, because I am definitely afraid of large spiders. I'm afraid of spiders in general, so I am not ready. Okay, so then we go running, and then I love this here, because he pulled out his mount. You see the sunlight inside the bag, and now he's on his Thestral. And another thing, one, Thestrals are not bad. I understand it's the whole Dark Arts pack, I get it, but Thestrals are not bad creatures. They just look that way. They're misunderstood because they look creepy, right? Oh my goodness. But I thought it was really cool because I thought it matched really well. You see another flute flame here, and then notice the moment he opens his bag, and again, I don't know what you push. I don't know if you push up or down, because in the last video I said if you push left or right, that may get you on your broom, and no, that's me misspeaking. If you push left or right, that goes to either your spell diamond, that gives you access to your spell diamonds, and if you press left, that allows you to do Revelio, where there are Revelio icons. Unless you can still push left or right, and that'll get, maybe if you push left, that'll make you conjure your beast, or maybe you push up or down on the D-pad. I'm not sure, because they don't actually talk about that, unfortunately. And of course, like I said, you see a flute flame right there. And of course, I love the animation. The animation on this is gorgeous. And right here, there's an icon right here that you don't see on the map, that I noticed. Okay, we're gonna go back just the tiniest bit. That's actually going forward. Okay, guys. It took me several tries to try to catch this, but clearly, when you get really close to whatever this is here, the word search pops up, and you push the square button. One, I'm grateful that it's not on the map, because that means it gives me reasons to look at everything. It forces me to say, okay, what's in this area? You know, what goodies will I find? because I didn't say this in the other video, but I kind of feel like, even though I like the mini map and I don't have a problem with them, I just don't like the fact that it tells you where everything is. But then again, I forgot that this was a dev kit, you know? So because they're developers, they know where everything is. So everything is highlighted. Like when you take the liquid luck potion, it tells you where all the icons are. So I'm like, well, then that would make sense that a dev kit will show what's on the map. The only thing I think it's important to know what's on the map are enemies and certain items, like certain treasure chests or something, not too much. Because again, it takes away the fun if I know where everything is. So I do remember in the first showcase that they say you can turn off the mini-map and some of the in-game mechanic features. So hopefully we can turn this off and we don't know where anything is, and it makes the liquid luck even more beneficial when you take it and you see everything. Hopefully that what I'm saying is making sense. So I don't know what this is that you must search for right here. Maybe it's another collectible, like the leaping toadstools. So I'm excited to see what that might actually be. So when I first saw it, I was like, ooh, what's that? And so as we continue, again, I just love the Forbidden Forest. It looks so cool. I cannot wait to go explore this. Also, guys, if you notice right here, going up these stairs right here into this little area, you see that there's an ancient magic symbol, like when we were flying on the Hippogriff, where that bridge was and those little fires were. In that ruin, there is an ancient magic symbol there. So again, I don't know, does it give you like a spell upgrade? Do you unlock new magic? Is this something that tells you, hey, there's ancient magic in here, go look inside, and there's like there's a pensive inside or something. So I don't really know, but I thought it was really cool. So these kind of things I'm okay with, like, okay, this is an ancient magic symbol, like your magic is telling you, go look in here or something. So I thought that was okay, and I thought that was pretty cool. But still, I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. And you see more of the leaping toadstools. And then as we make our way here, you'll notice the icon we saw earlier. You see the flue flame that's on the other side that we passed. And now we're here at this door. And there's a few things I want to touch on before we go inside. One, I thought this was Morgana. Like, I was thinking, oh, this is Morgana, but when he goes right here, when Andrew looks up, you actually see that this is a male wizard with a beard with these really long robes. And I was trying to figure out, okay, where did I see this? Like, where have I seen this? But this is in the conception art. You see, when they were doing the behind the scenes after the state of play, you see the developers talking, and you see this artwork, and you see it close. You see him close, because you'll see once we go inside. And I was like, oh, because at first I thought this was like, oh, Dark Arts Arena, is this an homage to maybe, could this be, you know, Morgana's cult, Morgana's following right here? But since it's a male wizard, then I started to say, okay, what other male wizards are out there that Merlin might have had issues with in Arthurian literature? And I haven't come up with anyone yet. And I'm trying to figure out who else could this dark wizard be representing. He can't represent all dark wizards. There has to be a name associated with this character. But again, I have yet to find someone who may match this in the wizarding world, because that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to look and see, well, maybe there might be someone related to this. So if someone finds out, let me know, because in part 3, if I find out by the time I get to the magical beast section and the room of requirement, then I'll make a call back to this and say, this is who this wizard might be. And then you notice the purple flames here. I think this may be something that ties in with Morgana. If it's not Morgana, it could be something to do with I forgot what it is. It's called the Eternal Flame, and it's like a magical fire. And it's very heavily related with Merlin, Morgana, King Arthur, those kind of things. And if you look at it, it looks like this is a goblet or a cup of some sort. So I'm not entirely sure what this represents. So the only thing I can think of is the Holy Grail Oh yeah, well then Holy Grail. Oh, which reminds me, Sly. That's where I got this from, Sly. His link will be in the video description. Sly from the Oil Division, he did an awesome video talking about this, and then when I saw this gameplay showcase, it brought back that memory of what I saw from his video. So I think he may be onto something when it comes to the Holy Grail, but I think that's what this is a representation of. And I'm really excited about it, and I hope we get to learn more about this, because right before you go in, this basically kind of gives you like a general rundown on the Dark Arts Arena. As you can see, Dark Arts Battle Arena, fight waves of enemies in this battle arena with unforgivable curses. The Avada Kedavra, Imperial, and Crucio will be, as well as the Blasting Curse. So, you know, Confrango, in addition to other unique devastating effects. So I like that they're telling you this right here, and also the unforgivable curses can go through any shield charm. And when we go into the combat, we'll touch more on that. So I like that they gave you that little bit of information right before you go in. And also from Alan, what Alan was telling us is that this is basically, you know, there's more than one Dark Arts arena, because there's more than one arena in the game outside of the Cross One's Dueling Club. So there are other areas you can go into to do this combat. And we're going to touch on this in just a second. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm like, I want to know what these other arenas are. But the reason why I wanted to touch on this is that in the Dark Arts Arena, you have access to the unforgivable curses, which you normally wouldn't have access to. So I was like, okay, that makes sense, you know, that it would be here. It's really for you to test out if this is something you want to do. And I thought that was pretty cool. So it lets you test it before you actually start to, you know, use it and level up in it. But my question is what are these other spells that you see here? Now, on Wife Wants a Wizard, he, on his, what do you call it? On his community post, he showed that he uncovered some of these. He uncovered what they were. Now, I was actually doing the same thing, and I even told him, I'm like, dude, we were thinking the same, trying to figure out what these other icons are on here. But again, some of these are like the Certificus Totalis spell, the Sapio Wingardium Leviosa, and then of course, you know, there's the Descendo spell to knock you down, and then of course, you know, you have the slashing spell, the blasting spell like Expelliarmus, Defendo, the slicing spell. So you kind of have some of those in here. Of course, you know, the dark green are clearly the unforgivable spells. I have no idea what these other blue ones are. I think they might be something else. But when you look at this, I think this is like 26 or more spells that you see here. I'm not actually counting, I'm just doing it off the top of my head. But this got me excited when I saw this, because it made me say, oh, wait. They said there were more than 20 spells you have access to. Now, I'm wondering, you know, you have these spells here, but what other spells do you have access to as you play the game, and will you unlock other types of spells as well? So, you know, these are all combat spells, basically. So I'm curious to know what other kind of non-combat spells will you have access to? Because there's a whole debate about if we can swim or not. And I honestly think we can, because when we get to the room of requirement, there's a thing that says amphibial protection or something like that. So that tells me, you know, you're going to be in the water, you know, because what else is amphibian other than, you know, mermaids, right? In the Wizarding world, if we're not going to be fighting a bunch of frogs. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I think we will go swimming. It's just we haven't been able to see it yet, because at the end of the showcase, remember, Andrew runs to the lake to look out at the water, basically saying on the third showcase, we're going to see what's here. So then that makes me say, okay, so that means we have underwater combat. Then that makes me think, oh, then what do we have? Aguamente, the water spell, because you know we have the fire spell, because you can see the icon for it. You know, and then of course we've seen, you know, Incendio and Confrango, the explosion spell. So I'm wondering, so will we have Aquamente? Because you know we have Glacius as well. So is Glacius one of these light blue spells. So when I saw that, I was like, it just got me thinking, okay, what other spells do we have access to? Because we do see quite a few of them in the combat. So let's jump into that. This right here where it says, you know, wave 1, and you see how the enemies come in. I thought that was really cool to see the graphic effect. And this, Avada Kedavra. And you see how powerful it is off the jump. And if you notice, after he does Avada Kedavra, you notice that the enemies look frightened of you. So right after he does the killing curse, look at what everyone's cowering. And then it got me wondering, will your teammates, will your classmates or companions respond the fact that you that you did an unforgivable curse? So it got me thinking again, like, okay, so you see the NPCs respond, the enemy NPCs. Will the actual companion or classmate NPCs respond to you in this area as well? But let's continue, because in this arena you get to use all of them. So as you can see here, he hits this guy with the Cruciatus curse, which is, you know, the pain curse. And as you can see, constant like numbers will pop up while he's in agony. And I believe in this version, our character is level 18, so you see how much damage we do, because I remember in the first one, I think we were like level 2, so we weren't doing as much damage. But in this one, we're a pretty heavy hitter until it comes to the troll. And another thing you might notice is that his health bar doesn't go down, and that's because this is a dev kit, so, you know, he's invincible, but you do still see him get hit, even though his bar, he's invulnerable in this, which I think is pretty cool. Another thing that Alan mentioned is that when you hex people in this game, when you hex them, you notice they have like an X on them. So after he does this right here, you notice he has this X on him. So that means he's hexed. Now if you notice here, after you dodge, he does the Imperious curse on this guy. You notice his eyes are glowing. But if you notice that X on them, if their energy is low enough and you do the Avada curse on someone else, it will do an instant kill on the entire group, or it will severely damage the entire group, because the enemies are now sharing in that hex and sharing in the damage that you do to the other wizards as well. So again, there was a lot of stuff in here that I saw. I was like, oh, I really, really like this. So now that we kind of touched on this, and another thing I was noticing was I noticed that your halo goes red when it comes to certain times to a dodge and attack. As you can see, he's doing some serious damage here. Your halo goes from the normal orange or yellowy looking halo to a red spiky one. And is that because this is like a darker curse coming at you, so it's more like a danger alert, like danger warning? I wanted them to touch on it, but they actually never did, so. Oh well. Is that when you see these blue orbs here, and it's funny because you'll notice he's attacking this other wizard. The blue orbs you see falling out of the enemies, again, Ben was asking pertinent questions. He was like, oh, what's with these blue orb things fall out? So it's actually a story and game mechanic. So only we, as the player character, can see the magic falling out of people when we're hitting them, and we can absorb it, which fuels our ancient magic meter. And so the fastest way to fill up your meter is by constantly hitting, you know, and doing combos of 10 or higher will fill it up. But those things will also help add, like when you absorb the blue energy into you, or if you do a properly placed Protego, excuse me. If you do a properly placed Protego and deflect or counter, that also fuels the meter as well. So I was like, oh, okay. Again, I like the combat system because I thought like, oh, it has a lot of moving parts. It seemed like it'll be complicated, like your first go around. I'm wondering if it's like The Witcher, if you've ever played Witcher 3, if the combat system is kind of like that, because you have to hold the R2 button and, you know, press the D-pad to kind of switch out through your spells, and then of course, you know, tap rapidly to do the regular little basic spell. Then of course you do the spell diamond, will tell you whatever spells you selected will allow you to do, you know, a Spelliarmus or whatever. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work when we actually do play the game, how that will feel in combat. So let's move on. You notice this here, and you'll notice the purple energy is actually from the other wizard hitting them. So remember, this person's under the Imperious Curse. And then you'll notice after he hits this guy, he gets like 80 XP, but then the XP seems kind of weird, like the numbers don't make sense to me, because at one point you get like 100 XP, then you get 180 XP, then you get 30 XP. So what I'm thinking is that because on the goblins it looked like you got 30, on the humans you got 80, on the bigger opponents you got like about on the goblins you get like 100 when you do Avada Kedavra and you just wipe them out. So, or even when you do your ancient magic, and we'll touch on that in just a second, I was noticing how it was coming up. So I think you get over 1,000 XP points in the combat system. But also I have to remember, we all have to remember, this is a dev kit. So remember, some of the stuff isn't gonna fully make sense because it's designed just to show stuff off. It's not like it probably is the full game, but it's probably not like certain things that would normally make sense don't make sense because like we have access to everything, or it's just meant to show like, okay, when this happens, kind of like cause and effect. If you do this is what's supposed to happen. Kind of hope that makes sense with the combat system. So another issue I was concerned about when it came to combat was, you see how they kind of stand around and they wait to attack you, kind of like, it said it's like fencing, and I was like, oh, the enemies don't really seem that aggressive, they don't seem like they're really fighting you. But again, this is a dev kit, so remember, and also they're showing this to a large group of people, so people who are not used to gaming like myself and many of you watching, to us it'll be like, why isn't the computer, giving us, the NPCs giving us a challenge and really fighting us? They are, but they're not doing their best. And then again, remember, they did it where the story mode is lighter, or easy mode is lighter, and the combat's a little softer for you. Because think about everything you're gonna have to do. You have to constantly mash the R2 button, switch out spells, wait for them to charge up, do as many fighting spells as possible, try to mash Protego as quickly as you can. Now imagine when the computer is gonna be more aggressive towards you. It's gonna be a challenge. So we're gonna be challenged playing in this game, and just because this is a dev kit, we're just seeing a more easier combat system, one, so we can witness everything happening, so we can see how everything looks. So I was like, okay, well maybe that makes more sense why the computer doesn't seem like it's that aggressive, because again, like I said, it's a dev kit. So I think we will face a good challenge, because Alan did say, depending on where you are in the map, some areas will be more challenging, especially if you're not at the right combat level. So hopefully that makes sense. So we're gonna skip past this because I want to get to the ancient magic part of the combat. I love the goblins' dark energy here. I love the way it looks, and you notice that they could zip, like, not that kind of like that smoky energy you saw. It looks like they can do that, like they can zip across the stage, and you can see how they can come up and attack you. So it looks like that can be something that can do some heavy damage if you are not properly prepared with the right armor. Here, he turned that guy into a chicken, which I thought was hilarious, but so transfiguration, so you can just do it willy-nilly. Now the thing about the ancient magic meter that they were talking about is that it's kind of like your emotions. So when you're like, as you're fighting, you're getting more angry or emotional or whatever, and you see how it's like 170 HP, but anywho, you get more emotional as you're fighting, more angry, or adrenaline is picking up. And what ends up happening, and we'll talk about the potion in just a second, you unleash the ancient magic, which can do a multitude of things. Because you saw there was a fire one, he made someone completely evaporate into purple ash, you saw he transfigured somebody, remember in the state of play you see him call down lightning, the other thing is he actually slammed the enemy around using Descendo. Like, there's a lot that you can do with this. And then also when you press the R1 and summon something out of the background that summoned to an enemy, it's also a part of the ancient magic. So again, I thought that was really cool because you don't necessarily have to have your meter full to do that. So now, you'll notice here, the guy actually did drink a potion, right before the troll jumped down. He used the stone skin potion right here, and it's to protect him from being, if he gets hit, it kind of keeps him, it's like a cushioning or something, you could call it. But I like how right here, I think Mekenzy says something right here, and she kind of talks about it, so.
Reduces the incoming damage that you're receiving. So against big enemies, hard-hitting enemies like trolls, that's super helpful.
Oh my god, she's just destroying. The troll just collapsed from one of the cadavers.
Obviously, we have the Wiggenweld potion as well, which increases your health. And then we have the focus potion. So when Alan talks about having to balance Avada Kedavra with a long cooldown, because obviously it's an instant kill, one thing that you could do is brew a focus potion, and that will...
Oh, focus potions. Okay. So she talks about the focus potions as well. So let's just say, for example, you're in a fight and all your spells they need time to fill back up. As you can see, they take like maybe a good 5 or 6 seconds to fully fill back up. If you do a focus potion, they fill back up quicker, which I think is awesome. So again, going to class, brewing potions, and understanding how things are, I mean, it's so vital that you go to class. So again, I will be going to every class I can do, extracurricular or otherwise. I'm gonna be in class. So I like this here that we have this available to us when we're in combat, because it seems like that's going to be very useful. Again, this is going to show how combat is going to be a challenge for us if we are not prepared. So if we don't have potions on hand, if we don't have the right spells equipped, if we're not at the proper level, and the computer's aggressive, like this troll seems very aggressive, because notice he kept swinging, and because of his size, he had a lot of reach, so you had to like keep running. He had eventually had to use a Protego to block the attack. So again, it has me really excited for the combat when we actually do get into that. So I'm like, okay. Another thing that I was really excited about, and you notice he used the focus potion, and you'll see on the screen Avada Kedavra filled up really quickly. He used the explosion, he hit him with a few more spells, knocked out some magic, and then boom, down for the count with Avada Kedavra, which I really like that. I thought that was really cool. And you notice here he used Venomous Tentacula as well, so that's the L1 button. So when you mash L1, that summons the spell wheel, and as you can see, we're gonna go back to the spell wheel really quickly. Spell wheel, because there was a few other spells I noticed. Okay, so this I think is just a regular potion, whatever that is. I think that might have been the stone skin potion that you use. This is clearly the focus. You have the mandrake, so you have 3 of them. So the mandrake seedling, so you can use it to like knock out enemies. Here's the Chinese chomping cabbage. Here is the venomous tentacula, and then you have 3 other spells that are, you can't use them, so they're locked up. But then also you notice here, remember at first we didn't know what that little symbol was with the cross on it, so that means you cannot summon your magical beast and you cannot get on your broom in combat. So when you're in this arena, you can't jump on your broom and start flying, or get on your magical beast and have them help you in combat when you're in these arenas. So I was like, oh, okay, I see that now. I that was something I did not notice. And look, it says release L1 to equip Chinese chomping cabbage. So again, you just use the right R stick to kind of select which one you need, and then of course you press it, and then you can, or release it, and then that's the item you will use in combat. So I like how they made it a little bit more like you don't have to constantly click and click and click. So it's basically you hold R1, you find the one you want, you release it, they use that particular item in combat. So I thought like, okay, that makes it a little bit more faster paced. The only thing is though, you got to be careful with that, because if you accidentally are on the wrong section, hopefully when you go up and down or left and right, it prevents you from accidentally selecting something you're not trying to select. So I see it as a plus and a minus when it came to that, but I was still really excited to see it. I would have loved to see the baby cabbages, as I like to call them, running around. And then here you get some more like dueling and the fact that the venomous tentacula works like a turret. So the way Mekenzy explains it, while it's on the ground, it's constantly spitting at multiple enemies, and you notice that not only does it hit the goblins, but the troll, but you also notice that it hits another witch when she's getting ready to hit you with a spell. So again, I'm really excited about that, and I'm also wondering, will we have access to Devil's Snare? Use Devil's Snare to tie up enemies so they're incapacitated, kind of like Traversal Totalis. So, I'm curious, and I want to know what other type of plants or other type of potions we can use in battle to help ourselves. So I'm really excited to see how all of these things are really gonna nicely play together. If you notice right here, it hits her. So again, I like the fact that you have that. And then I was wondering, with this big dude right here, and you see this guy floating in midair, he was about to do a lightning spell. So it looks like a big spell, and of course, he gets out of the way, and look at this. He basically rips this guy in half with a spell, using ancient magic. So as you can see, the combat is going to be a lot of fun when using it. When you're in combat, it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. For me, I was very impressed with how you can do this. And then I noticed something else down here. When you look at the combo meter, it says 16 hit combo. So I'm curious, how high can you get the combo up to? Can you do like 100 hit combo? Like I'm just curious, can you do that? Because I think that'll be really cool if that is definitely something you can do. So far, personally, I love this right here when you hear the guy get hit by the anvil. I don't know why I like the sound of the anvil hitting that man, but it just makes me happy. Hold on, let's see. So right here, hold on, let's unmute this.
I have some things over here that may.
I mean, look at that, and you hear the duh, like it's really loud. I like that so much. It's a very satisfying dung sound, but also you saw it took 292 damage. So essentially, we murdered that man. I really like the combat system. I really like what I'm seeing. I'm very impressed with it. I cannot wait to actually get into the arena or get out in the world and fight enemies, and especially learning how to use my clothing as defense against my enemies, learning all the different spells and what you can actually do, and learning what those ancient magic spells are called, because the transfiguration, the disintegration spell, which remind me of Rodolfo, or am I saying Rodolfo? Yeah, where the one that Ginny Weasley uses, that's like a massive explosion. So I'm just like, I'm curious to know what those other ancient magic spells are called, and I'm just really excited, like I said, to get into the ring and actually fight and fight enemies. But what do you guys think? Are you excited about this? Are you excited about the combat system? Are you ready to get in there and do some unforgivable curses? Because I know I'm going to use them. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I'll use Avada, but I probably will use Imperio and Crucio, and when I'm combating my opponents. So I'm really excited to explore this. I know I keep saying it, but I keep saying it because I actually mean it, because I think the combat system in this game is it's incredible, and I'm excited to learn more spells, and especially with building the relationship with your teachers. What other spells are you going to learn from Professor Sharp? What are you going to learn from him? What potions will you learn from Professor Hackett? What other unspeakable things will she teach us? So again, I think it's very important that learning, getting to know our teachers, going to class is really going to help us in combat, and it's going to be so important that we do as much as possible to be the best wizarding duelists we can be. But that's it, guys. That's all I have for the combat system. Are there things that I pointed out that you guys might have been curious about, or did I miss something while I was talking about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bells so you can know when I'm uploading my next video just for you, like I always do. And I will see you guys on the flip side. Remember to live, think, and dream big. Choose love over fear. And as always, my mischief has been managed. Bye.